Now that Argent Wave's Hwayoung has had time to settle, we've seen various different ways to play her, whether she acts as a slow but high DPS nuker, or even as a way to allow other characters to cut ahead of enemies. She has an interesting role in cleave/DPS oriented setups. With this, in today's video, we'll be diving into her kit and exploring how she performs across different types of content. But as always though, if you found today's video helpful or enjoyable, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. However, without further ado, let's break down everything you need to know about Argent Wave's Hwayoung. If you're like me, sometimes you'll be playing epicseven and think to yourself, man, I can't believe I gaslit myself again into spending on this game. But thankfully, today's sponsor AppGallery has got your back. Currently, there's a way to save money on your purchases and even get free coupons using Huawei's AppGallery. With just a few simple steps, you can get a $2 welcome coupon, 20% cashback on all in-game purchases using PayPal, and yes, this even works on any Android phone or emulator, not just Huawei devices. Now, in order to set up and get all the benefits, here's what you'll need to do. Step 1, click on the link in the description or pinned comment. Step 2, download AppGallery from this link and then install HMS Core. Step 3, create a Huawei ID and make sure your region is set to Brazil, as this is super important to unlock the benefits. And step 4, from inside AppGallery, download epicseven, log into your account, and you're good to go. Next, in terms of how to claim these benefits, the $2 welcome coupon can be claimed from the link that I'll be including as a pinned comment and in the description, but all you need to do is click Get It Now once clicking on this link. After that, you will see your free $2 coupon shown as a payment option inside of the game, and you just need to select it to use it. This of course can then be used for anything that you're looking for in the shop, including mystic summons, covenant pulls, or even leaf packs. The possibilities are endless. You will also be able to see the coupon listed as one of your payment options directly inside of the store, and you can select this coupon to apply it and get your items for cheaper. To get the 20% cashback, all you'll need to do is buy any item in game using PayPal, and you'll then automatically receive a 20% cashback coupon in your AppGallery account. To find this, click on Me, username, payment and purchase, then coupons, and this will then apply for your next purchase in epicseven. So what are you waiting for? AppGallery works on all Android devices and emulators. Click on the link below, follow the steps, and start saving in epicseven now. Thanks again to AppGallery for sponsoring this video. Let's start by breaking down her skills. Skill 3. This skill attacks all enemies and then increases the combat readiness of the ally in the back row by 50%. It also grants vigor to the caster for 2 turns, and this means it's a strong AoE ability that not only deals damage, but also enhances Hwayoung's offensive and defensive power through the vigor buff. However, as you'll see later, its main purpose is either boosting Hwayoung's damage or being used for its 50% combat readiness push. Skill 2. After an ally uses a non-attack skill, Argent Wave's Hwayoung automatically activates Swallow Kick on the enemy with the highest defense. Before this happens though, Hwayoung grants herself an attack buff and then penetrates 50% of the target's defense with said attack. To add to this, the ability also increases Hwayoung's own combat readiness by 20%. Now, if Hwayoung is affected by vigor at the time of this activation, she also gains an extra turn. To be clear though, this is her strongest damage dealing skill, as it is single target, and this serves as her primary tank busting tool. Now, while the cooldown can feel a bit long, gaining and using the extra turn from vigor can help reduce downtime and keep her damage output consistent if the enemy is even alive after this has been used. Skill 1. Now this is just another single target ability that deals damage, but as Hwayoung will not be building effectiveness, the buff dispel can feel somewhat useless, especially when you combine this with the fact that Hwayoung's playstyle is mostly one where you choose to one-shot the enemy team. Now let's talk about her potential builds, starting with her pure DPS build. This build prioritizes raw damage output over speed, and the recommended gear set combination includes Destro Torrent, Torrent Pen, or even Attack Pen. Now with this, you'll ideally be using a crit damage neck, attack percent main ring, and attack percent boots, and the goal here is to aim for 5,000 attack, 100 crit chance, and 300 crit damage. Now she can also be built as a speed DPS, and this build focuses more on a balance between speed and damage output. Recommended gear here will include speed/torrent or even speed/pen, but for the right side main stats, you will be focusing and using crit damage main on your neck like before, an attack percent ring as usual, but this time you can actually opt for a pair of speed boots or attack percent if you need a little bit more damage. In terms of suggested stat goals, this lineup will instead aim for something like 3.7 to 4k attack, 220 to 250 speed, and 100% crit alongside 300 crit damage. Now let's talk about our potential teams and partners, starting with when she's used in PvP focused content. Now Hwayoung is a powerful addition to the current tank one-shotting arena meta, excelling against popular knights and bruisers like Harsetti, Fallen Cecilia, and Boss Arunca. Her high burst damage combined with 50% defense pen allows her to break through most bulky units with ease. However, she does have a clear weakness, and that's ML Ilanov. Due to Ilanov's defense penetration reduction, Hwayoung struggles at times to deal meaningful meaningful damage in this matchup, so it's best to avoid using her against teams that include her. Similarly, you could argue that she does struggle against openers or faster characters, but as that's more of a weakness against your team as opposed to Hwayoung, I won't be going over that too much, but of course obviously it wouldn't be ideal to get silenced or pushed back by someone like Zio. Now one of Hwayoung's greatest strengths, however, is how easy it is to activate her passive. It automatically triggers when an ally uses a non-attack skill, and this allows her to deal damage and gain combat readiness with minimal setup. But as you've probably guessed, this does force her to use a specific lineup of characters in order to gain value. Units like a mid, who was recently buffed though, do work very well when paired with her due to the consistent non-attack skills, and Frida is another great option, offering a free soul burn passive and a skill 3 that grants both combat readiness push and an attack buff. Both characters perfectly support a team that has Hwayoung on it, but with this said, Conqueror Lilius, as showcased in the preview video, is clearly who Smilegate intended Hwayoung to be paired with. This is because she provides both a non-attack skill and vigor on the same button, but as I'm sure you guys have probably guessed, this is also a character that feels slightly weaker as she isn't as fast as some of the other openers in the game, and especially with other openers having buffs like Rage, or having other debuffs like Seal on ML Luna, Conqueror Lilius isn't nearly as insane as she formerly was. Now a strong team that's been gaining popularity includes Mort, Young Senya, Argent Hwayoung, and Strays, and this team is built to counter tank-heavy lineups. The strategy here itself revolves around being played against Harsetti though, and in said matchups, Harsetti will take the first turn, which then triggers Young Senya's passive. Once Young Senya takes her turn and uses skill 3, it not only activates Hwayoung's passive, it pushes up the entire team and also deals decent damage, scaled off of her HP. Now even if this initial hit doesn't secure a kill, Mort's S3, Strays' S3 and S2 if you have his EE, and Hwayoung's own S3 can finish the job, but for transparency's sake, I do want to say that this team does require a bit of setup, decent gearing, and does assume having artifacts like Benimaru's Tachi at max for an attack buff on Strays. However, once all this is set up, the team does work like magic, and it deals a lot of damage even against some of the more annoying characters in the game like Boss Runka and even Harsetti. That said, we need to address the elephant in the room, RTA and bad matchups. Hwayoung doesn't fit into every team, and in PvP modes where your opponent can react to your picks, she can feel underwhelming. Cleave and speed-based teams especially struggle in RTA without having several strong openers or perfect execution, since they're vulnerable to slower counter-based teams, and as a result, it can sometimes take a very special kind of draft and a perfect situation for Hwayoung to feel strong. This of course isn't even accounting for the chance that Hwayoung just gets banned outright, which you simply can't control, but overall, unlike some other stronger and more general picks like Afternoon Soak Flan, Arunka, Fallen Cecilia, Renak, or pretty much any other first pick worthy character, Hwayoung simply doesn't have the same level of versatility or flexibility in terms of when she can be drafted. Now regarding PvE, Hwayoung also doesn't seem amazing, but as she does have AoE damage and a pretty strong single target S2, there could be a future Rift, Constellation, or water-based fight where she can be strong. As of now, however, other water-based DPS can simply do her job but better, and in truth, Fene is kind of really OP, so Hwayoung may never truly find a perfect spot to be picked in, at least in terms of PvE. Now let's talk about her pros and cons. Now for her pros, she's definitely a good tank buster, since of course she has the 50% defense pen, gives herself attack buff, and also uses a single target nuke into a team-wide nuke. And with this, her second pro of course is that she has high damage from her skills, especially if you include the extra turn if you have vigor. Now to add to this, she is also decently easy to use because her skill 2 only needs a non-attack skill to activate, but in terms of cons, she also has equally as many. She is weak to Empyrean Illina because of the defense pen resist, and that kind of stops her role as a generally good tank buster if she's on the team of course. To add to this, she is squishy and also doesn't have a particularly strong defensive mechanic like Fene, SSB, Sez, or even Ida if you were planning on using her slow. And finally, she's a limited unit, if that term really even means anything anymore, as most characters will eventually get a rerun or end up on a custom summon banner at some point in the future. So finally, if you're looking for a strong tank buster / want to play cleave, Argent Waves Hwayoung is a decent pick. Since she's a limited unit, I would recommend picking her up while you can, as otherwise you will still have to wait quite a bit, even if the term quote-unquote limited unit doesn't quite mean the same as it used to in the past. Hwayoung excels in various forms of PvP content, and although her effectiveness in PvE isn't fully clear yet, her raw damage potential is undeniably impressive, especially if you know what you're doing. Now again, as one of her greatest strengths is how easy she is to set up, this means that she can work very well, especially on an account that doesn't have too much on it, but overall, now is a great time to pull for her, especially since we're given a bunch of free rewards coming out due to the anniversary. Hi guys, as an added afternote, this video was recorded quite a while ago, but I had some issues come up, so here are some updates. Hwayoung feels way more powerful when you pair her alongside characters like a mid, but this does require you to pick some of the anti-combat readiness units like Politis or Abyssal Yuffie to make this work. Additionally, the newest summer unit Aram has been showcased and revealed, and truthfully, although her kit does feel perfect for buffing and making Hwayoung viable, it's tough to say whether or not her buffs will actually be enough to propel either herself or Hwayoung into mainstream viability. All in all, Hwayoung does seem decent, but still tricky to play around. And otherwise, thanks again for watching everyone, stay safe, stay healthy, good night.